Toxic boyfriend cheated on me for 18 months while I supported him financially. I left him after discovering his secret life, and now he's homeless and in and out of jail. When I was 19, I went to a party with a bunch of friends. At the time, I was stuck in this really toxic long-distance relationship. And while at the party, I found out my long-distance partner was actually cheating on me. Feeling crushed and angry, I ended up hooking up with another guy at the party. Let's call him Mike, 29M. The next day, once we sobered up, Mike and I actually hit it off pretty well. I gave him a ride back to his place. He handed me his number, and not long after, we started dating. In the beginning, he was charming, funny, and spent a lot of time telling me how dumb my ex was. Honestly, at that point, what more could I ask for? We moved in together way too soon. Not long after that, he lost his job. That's when I started noticing just how much he was drinking. The honeymoon phase didn't last long after I realized I had just signed a lease with an unemployed alcoholic. Mike had some deep-rooted trauma that he used to explain away his actions, and I had my own issues that made me feel like I needed to save him. Fast forward a year. He still couldn't hold down a job. I was working 2, sometimes 3 jobs just to keep us going. Being away from home so much let me live in denial, even though his drinking was steadily getting worse. I was doing all the housework, cleaning, cooking, making sure everything was in order, because according to him, those things just don't matter to me like they do to you. Deep down, I knew he was cheating on me, but I didn't have any solid proof. I was having these wild nightmares where women would come up to me in groups, all of them pregnant with his baby. Naturally, anytime I brought it up, he'd tell me I was crazy. He'd even let me look through his phone. Where would I even be meeting these women? He'd ask, after spending another day alone in our messy apartment. Of course, the problem was me. I hadn't gotten over my ex cheating on me, and I was just projecting all my issues onto him. If you've ever been desperate to catch someone cheating, you know how it can drive you absolutely insane. So when he gave me his password to pay a bill and casually mentioned that it was the same password he used for everything, I made sure to write it down, just in case. A few weeks later, I had a slow day at work, so I decided to use that password to log into his email. He had recently reactivated his Facebook account, and I was convinced I'd find something there that would confirm all my suspicions. What I discovered was far worse than I could have imagined. For every single day of the 18 months we were together, this guy had been trolling the internet, looking for sex. Dating apps, fetish sites, long-winded emails to some high school sweetheart whose number he'd supposedly lost. You name it, he was all over it. But the worst, by far, were the Craigslist casual encounters ads. For those who don't know, Craigslist used to have an entire section devoted to random hookups. And let me tell you, it looked like he had replied to just about every ad that went up. Men, women, groups, strange fetishes. He was up for anything and everything, as long as it wasn't with me. Email after email, I had the pleasure of reading about all the ways I wasn't enough for him. He'd regularly refer to me as his crazy wife. And he told the plus-size women he was chatting with that my fit body, which I worked hard to maintain by putting in over 40 hours a week at the gym, did absolutely nothing for him. The very same phone he used to reach out to them? Yeah, that was paid for by me. But the worst thing I stumbled upon was a conversation with a sex worker. Not only had he stolen money from me to pay her, but he had arranged to meet up with her in my car the day before my birthday. That day sticks out in my memory because he'd taken the car, claiming he had a job interview. When he came home, he broke down in tears, telling me how embarrassed he was that he wouldn't be able to afford a birthday gift for me. I actually sat there and comforted him, telling him that material things didn't matter to me all the while. He'd probably still been fresh from that hookup. After reading that particular email, I just blacked out. I couldn't process it. I asked a coworker to cover for me, drove home, and confronted him. Naturally, he flipped the whole situation back onto me, blaming me for everything. He said I wasn't doing enough to be the woman he wanted or to satisfy him, that I was too busy working all the time. He even went so far as to say that he was just trying to push me to leave because he didn't respect me enough to be honest and break up with me himself. After all, I was giving him a free ride. Without even thinking twice, I grabbed anything I could and stuffed it into garbage bags, then walked out on him. Even now, years later, I don't think I've fully recovered from everything he put me through. But since I left, he's been in and out of jail, and he's even spent some time homeless. So maybe karma's got its own way of working things out.